What's up, everybody? It's Steve Witchell here, founder of Cover Band Central. It is Tuesday, March 31st. It is 12:13 p.m. here, Central Time in New Orleans. We finally reached the end of March. March felt like years, um, but we're here, but we're still in this whole thing. And this is really affecting all musicians all over the place. You guys know I've been in here a ton of times talking about what's going on in the music world and musicians world and what we can do to keep busy and try to keep making some money and keep playing and keep reaching fans. And it's kind of my mission to help all you guys out there. And I want to bring in a bunch of people over the course of this time that we're dealing with this, who are also having to come up with new things and come up with new ideas and ways of making revenue or just playing. So fortunate today to have my friend Brian Tichy. I've known him since we were kids. We grew up in the same, and over the years we kind of jammed here and there. And Brian has gone on to a lot of success. He's really a world musician, and for my money, one of the best rock drummers there is in the world today. He's played with Foreigner, with Whitesnake, with Billy Idol, Slash's Snakepit, Pride and Glory back in the day with Zakk Wylde and James Lomenzo, and was currently on tour with George Lynch, Lynch Mob, doing the 30th anniversary celebration of the album Wicked Sensation. And they were touring, playing the album in its entirety. And they've also been working on a re-recording of that. So we're going to talk to Brian about all that stuff. Please ask your questions. Let's get into the conversation first before you inundate us with questions. But Brian will be happy to answer all your questions as we go forward. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Brian Tichy. What's up, buddy?
Hey, how are you? Can you see me?
I'm excellent. I'm going to put your name on the screen, even though you didn't put your full name. But that is Brian Tichy right there. And
he's trying to go with one of those Madonna Sade type things these days and just be Brian.
You know, you could pull it off, I think, because there's nobody else that's just Brian.
Well, exactly.
Except maybe for the guy from Family Guy. He's Brian, right?
Oh, I don't know. I don't watch much TV.
So let's start. I talked to you. Well, I didn't talk to you, but I heard you on Eddie Trunk's show on Sirius XM almost exactly a month ago. It was I think it was the 25th, around there, of February, and you were on there with George, and you were just, I think you were just about to head out on tour. Maybe you had already started, but you were talking to him about the tour, and then also talking about the plans to do the re-recording. So, and that was a great story, by the way, what you told there. So maybe you can kind of reiterate that. But just tell me what happened. Like, where were you? What was the last gig you played? I saw on the website it was the 8th of March. And how did that all go down? And how did everybody react to that?
To having
the tour
future gigs canceled?
Yeah.
I don't think we knew when we were doing that last weekend of shows that everything else was going to be canceled. But yeah, that week, the rest of March got canceled. We were supposed to be right now, as we speak, on an East Coast run, ending up in Chicago on the 29th, I think, 28th, 29th. And then from there, I was supposed to go to Germany to Music Messe, which is like a NAMM type music convention in Frankfurt, Germany. And I had 2 events I was MDing there and setting up since last September. So those were canceled first, a couple weeks before, because everything was getting crazier in Europe first. And then, so I was like, okay, well, we'll do this Lynch Mob run and I'll just go home. And then soon after, I think, a couple days after that, that run, what was it? Would you say March 8th or something? Yeah, I think a few days later, they canceled the rest of March, which was the East Coast run we were supposed to be doing. And it looks like we have April dates. We were playing like every weekend. And I'm pretty sure if they haven't been completely canceled, they will be. I don't know if they're on the website still or whatever, but yeah, we had like a solid chunk of work in April. So and that brings us to May, and I don't know where everything's going to be at that point, but it ain't looking good.
Yeah, it's not. On the website, the next date that's listed is the 16th of April, and then there's dates listed throughout the rest of the year up through November. So have you talked to George and everybody associated with that, and do you know what you're going to do going forward?
Do I know what?
What you're going to do going forward? I mean, because now I guess we're on lockdown until the end of April.
Yeah, well, that's pretty much where it's at, So if they haven't removed the dates from the website that you said started on the 16th of April, they probably will soon. So yeah, like I said, I think we had, at least 2 or 3 shows every weekend through April. So that's pretty much all gone. And we'll just see what happens in May, we'll see. But of course, it'll all be rescheduled. I don't think anybody wants to completely lose anything unless it's impossible to reschedule. But I think we'll just keep going. Hopefully filling in weekends that weren't taken up with the makeup weekends.
Right.
Yeah.
What's the vibe like in LA right now?
I don't know. It's pretty much it's the same as everywhere. Everybody's bugging out and staying home and. But I'm up in Santa Clarita, and I've just been, when this was all starting, myself, George Lynch, and Jeff Pilson, who had also been taken off tour and came home. He's the bass player in Foreigner. He was also with George and Doc, and Jeff lives up here as well. So what we all agreed to do was, get in the studio together. We all have our own studios. So the main project going on was. The Lynch Mob 30th anniversary re-recording of Wicked Sensation. So we're in the middle of that, and George. Then there was going to be another Lynch Mob record that we're going to do later this year, but we're like, oh, we should just get on some ideas now while we're home. And then George and Jeff had 2 other projects that they were working on. So we're like, well, man, we're all here. Let's do it. Let's just get in our studios. But every day this stuff seems to get a little crazier, and and regardless of what you think, it is what it is. And George, I think like one day last week wasn't feeling great, and he was kind of like, hey man, I just don't want to take any chances. So I want to stay home and not do anything and just let this pass and do remote sessions on his studio, on his Pro Tools rig and all that. But my stuff is so old, I can't do the remote stuff. So, and I don't know where that leaves Jeff and I. If Jeff wants me to come over to his place and do drums, sometimes we do drums at his place, or we'll do drums at my place. So, between Jeff and I, if we get together, that's cool. If we keep working, but yeah, that's where it's at. But as far as LA, I mean, I think everybody's the same. Anything I see out there is the same as everywhere. It's just everybody's staying away from everybody. So, for me, it's the loss of work sucks. For everybody that sucks. And I guess there's like new, what do you call it? New amounts added to unemployment that we can take advantage of, which is cool. I haven't done that in a long time, but hey, if it's something. But yeah, man, it sucks for everybody. Whether you're in a, national act touring around the world, or you're in, cover bands around town or whatever. It's like nobody's going out. So. What do we do? And how long is this going to go? And how much do we lose? And because hey, man, I was looking at all the work we had. I was like, cool, okay, that's cool. With this much coming in and takes care of these bills, and then within snap of a finger, that changes. It's all gone.
Yeah, everybody's dealing with it, and everybody's kind of scrambling. I got a thing this morning. About New Orleans, the Jazz Festival and Heritage is putting together like a fundraiser for musicians in New Orleans. So I went and signed up for that this morning, and it was pretty easy to sign up. I just had to really kind of prove, or just state anyway, that I'm a working musician in New Orleans, and hopefully they're going to give us some funds. Have you heard anything like that at more like the professional level? Any sort of fundraisers to help out the community or anything local?
No, I haven't. That doesn't mean it's not happening. Maybe if it is, I just haven't heard of it. And I'm sure if there was something like that going on, I would be made aware of it. One of my buddies was the one who he's my buddy Steve McGrath. He plays bass with Billy Idol. He was the one who was like, oh yeah, man, I just signed up for unemployment. You know, Trump added, you know, more money to that budget or whatever, and he's like, you got to sign up. So I went for it yesterday, and it was like pretty, you know, pretty involved. Not the actual, yeah, I mean, just getting in there and doing it. I guess they're inundated with a ton of people trying to log in and sign on and get that going. So it's they reroute you to this thing and put you in a circle. You start, you know, it's, you know, pretty time consuming, but eventually I got it going. I just hope that the forms are filled out right so I can get whatever I should be getting, you know. But I don't know of anything, any like fundraiser type stuff going on for, you know, whatever, professional musicians or whatever.
Right. I mean, it'll be coming because this thing isn't going away anytime soon. And I've been saying really to this community to kind of embrace technology and find ways that you can reach fans or friends, or still find a way to make some revenue. And one of the big things that I've been touting actually for years, but especially now, is doing the live stream now, but live streaming performances. And a lot of musicians have taken to that. And even pro musicians that would normally be on tour, they want to be playing, but they can't. So they've been doing live streaming. Have you talked about doing anything like that with anybody?
Yeah, well,
or maybe just yourself?
Yeah, it's been talked about. It was one of the first things we talked about with Lynch, because we were in the studio. You know, hey, this is not gonna just be like a couple weeks. What can we do? And yeah, so I think everybody's talking about it, but then you have to gather a group of people in a room, and like if one of us isn't feeling well, how far do you go with that? You know, so
right.
It's, you know, so yeah, it was talked about, but right now I don't think, as far as like Lynch Mob is concerned, we're gonna do that right now, but that could change.
Right.
You know, it like I said, if somebody goes, oh man, I went here, I went there, and rate or run down. Okay, well, I don't want to be around anybody right now because, you know, I could be catching something. So, you know, if that's one person in a group, you know, that's pretty much puts an end to that idea in the you know, immediate, you know, time we're dealing with all this. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't, you know, mind doing that on my own. There's many things we can do now. Just take advantage of the internet, you know, and I already kind of have. Like I was gonna say before, I don't mind being home and at my house with my family and animals, and you know, I'm not really, you know, super worried. Like I'm cool with minimal human contact as it is. You know, I don't need to be around a lot of people if I don't have to be. You know, I like being on my own, and so if it's time to be home with your family and hanging out and getting stuff done around the house, and you know, going on hikes and mountain biking, that's cool with me. You know, it's something I do regularly anyways.
Yeah, me too. A lot of musicians are like that. A lot of musicians are more introverts. So, and I actually, I might be in the minority, but I love this. I love just being home every day and doing my own thing, and especially working on CBC. There's a guy here named Jeff Sugale said, don't miss out on the SBA disaster loan program. $10,000 advance doesn't require repayment, and he put the web address there. So people check that out. I will certainly check that out. And Jeff,
wow, that Jeff Sugale, he seems like a really smart guy.
He is. He has a picture of the Starship Enterprise here, the old one. So I guess he's kind of a Star Trek guy.
Oh
Jeff
wait, I know that guy. He's our good friend from back in Jersey.
Yeah.
Jeff is actually super talented.
Yeah,
he's a great artist.
Yeah, Jeff and I don't know if you remember this, dude, but the three of us, it was one night and there was an open mic thing going on at the Rusty Nail, which was in New Jersey. Rusty Nail's not there any longer, but it was this little podunk bar on the corner of 46 and Beverwick, and they had the three of us were sitting around. I don't know why, but we said, let's go to Rusty Nail and jam. And I had a camera, or one of us had a camera, and it was, you know, we're going back 20 plus years at least. And we played a bunch of songs on this crappy, like you had a crappy drum set, whatever the house kit was there.
Yeah.
It was just the three of us. And we played like Over the Mountain and a couple Van Halen songs probably, and it's filmed. It was filmed, and I still have that video. It's on
Wow.
videotape, and I haven't seen it
Wow.
forever, but I know I still have it in a box on videotape. So I got to break that out and make it digital.
Yeah,
And
that'd be fun. That'd be fun to see. The Rusty Nail. Now, if memory serves me correctly, didn't it burn down?
yes, it did.
And if I'm correct in thinking this, I'm not going to say his name, but I'm pretty sure I know the guy who burned it down.
Really?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I think he lived. I'm not going to say his name, but it was I don't remember the circumstances at all because this was a long time ago, and I wasn't friends with him, But he grew up in my neighborhood, if I remember this correctly, and I heard about it. I was like, what? What did he do? Yeah, he burned the place down, and I don't know why. I don't know what the deal was, but that was. I haven't thought about this since then, So, but I'm pretty. That's why I won't say his name because I could be so wrong.
It's statute of
But
limitations, though. I think you could say his name.
yeah, no, I'm not gonna. He could be living a really nice life now, and he doesn't need anybody talking about some really, really bad mistake he made a long time ago.
Or it could be
But
running
yeah,
around
yeah, it
burning
was.
bars down. Who knows?
Who knows? Maybe, yeah. But I do remember hearing that. Like, what? The place burned down? No, it wasn't just a fire. This guy, so and so, burned it down for whatever reason. But yeah, crazy stuff. But at least we have a video to show us jamming there.
Yeah, I have that.
I think that was probably the only time I was there. I don't even know if would have ever been in that place, except for if we went in there and jammed once.
Yeah. I have a VCR, but I'm afraid to put any tapes in the VCR because they might get eaten, and then that's it. Then the tape is gone. So that's why I haven't checked.
Yeah. It's like, what do you do with it at this point? You got to, I guess, bring it to a pro, and if it gets eaten, hopefully they can take care and fix it, and try to preserve it. Get it on it. Put it on a hard drive or something.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about stuff you're doing. First thing, this breaking down Bonham thing, and you. I don't know how long ago it was. It was within the last 10 years, though. You did a couple videos of instructions on Zeppelin tunes, and you and I are both huge Zeppelin fans. And I know how big you are a fan of Bonham. And when I saw you do those YouTube videos, I really liked it. You did rock and roll, you did Fool in the Rain, and I don't remember what else you did, but I remember those two stick out. And rock and roll specifically. Now you're offering this program, Breaking Down Bonham, where people can sign up and work with you and really dig into to John Bonham and Led Zeppelin and all the stuff he did and learn the fills and stuff. And it's on your website, and I'm going to show your website real quick so people can check you out now if they want to. That's briantichy.com. You can go check out all his stuff there. But you start off this program now, Breaking Down Bonham, with rock and roll. And what I want to say about rock and roll is it's one of the most common songs that cover bands play as far as Zeppelin songs go. And I'm a Zeppelin fan. I played in the Zeppelin tribute band for a while. And I really know, even though I'm not a drummer, I know this stuff and I know that song. And I know it starts on the end of three. And many drummers do not know how to play that song correctly in the beginning on the end of three. And it's cool that you have this thing that you're offering. And besides telling people to start on the end of three, how much digging in do you do to the songs like that?
Yeah, I went pretty hardcore and I got pretty involved in it, even more so than I thought I would get. But I had a few things I wanted to say. The first thing was, if we just address the intro starting on the end of three, I luckily stumbled upon the correct way to hear the intro when I was a kid, like probably ninth grade or something. And Zeppelin didn't really do like odd time stuff just for the sake of doing odd time. It seemed to have a reason, why it was there. Even like the riff to the ocean or whatever, just that turnaround, it just kind of felt right, even though it was odd. But with the intro of rock and roll, I'm like, I don't get it. It's a rock song. It's got 1-4-5 progression. What's with the intro? Why is there 3 extra eighth notes that I'm hearing and having that are there? What's the sense? What's the musical sense in that? And in my head, I was like, okay, I'm playing 4 bars and adding This is back in ninth grade. I'm playing 4 bars, but I'm adding 3/8 notes. And I thought, what if I try to hear this? And I don't know why I thought of this. I said, what if I flip it and try to hear the 3/8 notes first, and then make the 4 bars even after that, and just hear what that sounds like rhythmically. And I just kept putting on the record. And as soon as I hear ba da da ba, I would throw those 3 away and just start tapping, like playing a playing a backbeat in my head kind of thing, air drumming or whatever, starting on that 4/8 note. So it became so somewhere I got it, I heard it, and it was like if you throw the 3/8 notes away, the ba ba ba, and you start with ba, the figure becomes this, like speaking the rhythm of the intro. If you throw out those 3/8 notes, it's boom, and I'm like, whoa, and I heard it. It's like that makes sense. And then I put the 3/8 notes in. Okay, it's a lead into the one. I was like, okay, that's it. And I was like, oh, that reminds me of like Chuck Berry, like what is it? Johnny Be Good.
Right.
And that's what it reminded me of. Later on, I realized it was I Hear You Knocking from Little Richard, which man, right now the drummer on the original track, I'm sad to say I don't remember his name. I think it might be Charles something, Charles Connor maybe. But anyways, that Little Richard song, it starts out with a very, very similar theme, a drum intro. It's 4 bars with 3/8 notes, and it's not the exact same accents, but anyhow, that's where they got it from. Hence, they're calling the song rock and roll, and the lyrics being, throwbacks to, rock and roll themed lyrics, and all that stuff, and the 1/4/5 progression. So it all made sense. But yeah, it's easy to hear it wrong. So I just happened to like spend a little extra time as a kid bugging out on why I'm hearing it wrong, or what I'm hearing, what's going on here. But yeah, it is hard to hear that. And like I've said on this channel, which is an amazing drum channel, it's probably the most popular drum oriented, website channel in the world. I was up there last year, and Ludwig sent us up a Bonham replica kit, a Ludwig Amber Vistalite kit, and we tuned it up and got it sounding good in the studio, and we did some Bonham stuff on it, which was a lot of fun, and the end result was some pretty cool sounding drums and all that. And in there, I did remember saying a comment, wouldn't it be great if there was a stick click before the intro, or Bonham shouted out like 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, but then there would be no talk about this intro. We'd all get it. You know what I mean? So,
Right.
so yeah, so that's my little history on how long ago I was even trying to figure that out, and how it was confusing to me, and all that. But then fast forward, to last year when I did these Drumeo videos, and they got a really good response. And while I was doing it, I was like, okay, this is cool. We're picking out this beat, this lick, this little whatever, and getting into it a little bit. But I was like, what if I just go home and actually, really dig into this, and film it, and make notes, and treat it like a true lesson in the study of the song, the entire track, not just the cool intro or the quirky intro, and not just the amazing drum flurry ending, which are, probably the most talked about things. There's an amazing groove going on there. There's just a lot of stuff happening that isn't talked about too much. And even just Bonham playing the snare and the hi-hat with both hands doing eighth notes, so both hands are going it's a kind of that's an old school rock and roll drumming approach. And off the top of my head, the only other guy I remember, I'm sure there's plenty, but like somebody like Bunny Carlos from Cheap Trick used to incorporate that a lot in his playing. And I remember making note of that as a kid, like, wow, there's not many people that do that, but it's pretty cool. So I would try it here and there, and try to test myself as a kid if I could keep that pattern going through the whole song. So I basically figured, okay, I'll film myself playing to rock and roll, and I had to dig into it, make a chart, really listen for every kick drum, which in that particular track, it's not that easy. The kick drum's there, but I think Bonham hits it, hard and light throughout. So it's not like everything's exactly there, like a modern style recording, of a kick drum. So I did my best to chart that out and play along to it, and really tried to lock in the ending. And I figured, okay, cool. I'll film myself doing that. So give anybody that signs up, a version of me playing with the song in the background, and then just a version of me playing the song, and then go into a whole video lesson, which is probably an hour plus of all the notes I made on all the parts of the song and all the techniques you need to play the song comfortably. With the goal not just being able to play a Bonham track, it's really to make you a better drummer. It's really to because that style of that particular song isn't played that much. Not many rock drummers, you just don't see that being done that much. And it wasn't only just because of that alone. It was just Bonham's my favorite drummer. He's one of the most analyzed, talked about drummers, and he probably will forever be that. So it's like, and putting on these Bonzo Bashes for 10 years, I'm like, why? It's fun to me. It's fun to dig into that whole world. And hopefully through putting that time into these video lessons, people will be able to learn more than they do just from watching, a quick clip of the intro or the outro or whatever, because there's a lot more going on. And once you get comfortable with those techniques, then how can it not make you a better drummer? How can that not help you in all facets you're playing? So that's what's there, man. You just go to my website and just sign up, and I did this all last spring, and my webmaster had some stuff happen in his personal life that he had a full-time job, and it just took months and months of getting all this stuff on the website, and he finally got it together last September, and we put up the rock and roll video, and it sat there, but I never promoted it. I just never got online and said, here it is, it's here. So every now and then somebody would sign up, but I never made it like an official announced thing. But with this happening, with all of us being, announce the Bonham lessons, I just never did it. There's always other stuff going on. Really no excuse not to, and to take advantage of the time I put in. And with that, when I speak of the time, it was not just like, okay, it's not this crazy multi-camera pro, like in a pro studio. It was me in my studio house with my phone on the side, so you can see everything, but so you can see my hands and feet and everything I'm doing from the side. And but I've started bugging out on the drum sound. I was like, okay, I got I have a Ludwig Bonham, green sparkle kit, whatever. And it sounded good, but then I started bugging out on the tuning of the toms and the snare and the kick drum and the miking of it. And I got really anal and went, hours and hours trying to get, and I was doing the 3 mic recording technique, one above the kit, one in front of the kick, and one above the floor tom. And I'd never really done that before. So I'm sitting here trying to replicate the actual sound these gods got back in 71 or whatever on my little Pro Tools rig with my little 3 mics and stuff. But it was fun. It was also like, if I get close to it, that impact is just as important as the lesson itself. Because if it really does sound like you're getting close to the world of Bonham in the recording side of it, then that's a whole other thing too. It's not just some dude in his garage that hits record or on a phone. You know what I mean? So I spent a lot of time getting that together. And like I said, it was fun. But then there's the whole editing the videos and syncing it up to Pro Tools and upgrading your computer to make everything work with Adobe and, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, at the end of it, I was like, man, that took a lot longer than I thought. But now that I've come this far, I might as well not stop there. So there's a couple more finished songs ready to go, a couple more lessons completed with, my handwritten notes, my handwritten charts, all handwritten charts, all the ideas and all the patterns that you should be practicing, throughout this lesson, anything I get into in the video, so it's all there. And, people are signing up now, and it's cool. And I'm glad I finally got around to it. And it probably took this time that we're going through to get that announced.
Yeah, it's super cool. Any drummers out there that are looking to improve their craft, this is something, obviously, like Brian just said, you have the time now. And if you're a Zeppelin fan, this is ideal for you. So in addition to the stuff that you recorded that you would offer people when they sign up for this, do you do any interaction with them? Is there any sort of video chat that you do, or a Q&A, or?
Well, we put up a message board, and I just checked up on it, and there's some glitch in there because I want it to be where I receive notifications on my phone as soon as somebody posts something, so I can immediately go there and answer. But right now that's not happening, which my webmaster and I are figuring out. And also the way it looked with the comments was like you couldn't hone in on the one comment and reply to it like underneath. It's just a string of comments, and I want to fix that. So you can have a thread going. Somebody posts something and you can have everybody commenting on that. But it's not there's no like video chat. It's more just a text thing. And this is the beginning. So if there's a way what I'd probably do if there was a demand, would be just get on, just do something like what we're doing. Just, hey, from this time to this time, I'll do something. Should jump on in and we can all talk about whatever and go through stuff. But the main thing I just wanted to do was get the video up and just have the site working fluidly. So yeah, it's like for I also do private lessons, either Skype or, and all that stuff. But this is like a fraction of that price. And this is something you log in, sign up, and you can go back whenever. So it's not like you have to take it all in at once. Just take the first 5 minutes and there's a lot of talking because there's a lot of explaining as far as I feel there should be. It's not just, okay, here's exercise 1. And I play it like a couple times and go, here's exercise 2. It's like, no, this is why I think this is important. These are the things to think about when you're practicing. It's really about becoming a better drummer through the drumming of my favorite drummer.
Yeah, the videos I saw that you did, like I mentioned, Rock and Roll, Fool in the Rain, I really enjoyed it. And being a person that's not a drummer, I still really enjoyed how you broke it down. Very easy to understand, and you kind of review everything, and you slow everything down too, which really helps people a lot too. So
Steve, you're probably talking about. Sorry. I just before I forget, you're probably talking about the stuff on YouTube that was was through the Drumeo videos, right? Because I did like something that got a lot of views was like Bonham's top 5
yes
licks
that's
or something like that. And in there was Rock and Roll, and in there was Fool in the Rain, and that stuff led me to going one step further with breaking down Bonham on my website, because I was like, that's cool. I explained an intro. Cool. So let's say a drummer watches that and goes, oh, cool. Now I get, okay, it's the end of 3. And they learn the intro. And I mentioned in there, play with the right and left hand on the hi-hat and snare, 8th notes throughout the song. Okay, cool. But are you really going to dig in that? Is that enough to get to play that style comfortably and that feel? And it's not really. It's cool to learn the intro, but why not? That's what led me to breaking down Bonham. It was just like, why not just dig in fully?
Yeah,
and
cool.
it's fun. Like I said, it's definitely fun, and also I did it because I hadn't seen anybody else dig in that deeply. I just hadn't seen anything. I saw a lot of people talking about songs or playing along to or breaking down a Bonham lick or a fill or something online, but I just hadn't seen anybody like really get into the intricacies of what is really going on that you can benefit from and become better from.
Right on. And I looked into it, and it's super affordable. I think you're undercharging for it, but that's something people should check out if they're interested. But you mentioned the Skype lessons, and how does that exactly work if somebody were to sign up? Do you do like how long you do it, and is it sort of in real time where you're both sitting behind a drum kit where you talk, or how do you work that?
Oh yeah, I've done a ton of Skype lessons, so it's really whatever the student wants, pad, but yeah, the camera's either on my drum set, on the side, wherever you can see what we're going for, wherever I'm teaching, and or it's just facing me, and there's a pad, we're both on pads, or the student's on his drum set, with his camera, and I'm on a pad, because what I'm teaching doesn't really need me on the drums. Sometimes there's a lot of critiquing and just giving tips and just saying, try this, try that, think about this, think about that. But I've been teaching since high school, and I enjoy it. I really enjoy. It's not about what I think. If you study with me, this is what we're doing. It's not even close to that. It's if you want to take a lesson from me, I'm gonna ask where you're at, what you're doing, what you want to gain from it, what your immediate goal is, and then I'll go, okay, let me hear you play. Let me, if you send me something to review, I'll review it, and then dig in and go, okay, there's a couple. You have to check out the basics for everybody. Let me see how you hold the sticks. Let me just see your technique. Let me hear you do single stroke roll, double stroke roll, and let me hear you play a basic rock beat. There's so much to do with balance on the kit and how you hit the drums, and how fluid your wrists are. There's so much going on there that I'll get into immediately before I go, oh, you want to learn that crazy progressive 7/8 groove from whatever song, like that's cool, but if you want to really play that with confidence, there's other stuff that you need to get your independence up, your coordination. There's so much, but my goal is to make everybody feel good. It shouldn't be work. It is work, but we're all drummers and musicians because we love music and we love drums or whatever, so it's always got to be fun. And we put the hours in because we love it. We don't put the hours in because it's guaranteed. If you put your 10,000 hours in, you're going to be a master and you're going to make a lot of money. There's no guarantees. We do it because something, and I don't know what it is. I just figure with that, it should be fun. And I want people to finish a lesson and go, yeah, man, I'm excited to work on this stuff. And he picked out, I do it a lot. It's not even trying to be boastful or toot my own horn, but there's people that, oh yeah, I've been studying with this guy, or I've been taking private lessons for this long. And I'm like, you've been taking private lessons this long, but you haven't gotten this together yet. Like you need this stuff before you go any further, man. It's important. And I'm just speaking like basic rudiments, basic rock drumming, and basic independence, which can flow into, more of a jazz or funk or fusion, whatever you want to call it. There's basics that everybody should know. And then there's the next level, which gets you into having more independent freedom and being able to hear ideas that you're in your head that you can really get across and not struggle with or sound like the confidence isn't there, so you avoid it. That's the whole thing, man, is every little thing you learn gives you that extra bit of confidence. And so much of performing and getting behind your instrument and coming across like for real, like this is me, this is what I do, is that bit of confidence in every step of the way. I think the confidence makes you relax more, and it gives you, as a drummer or as any musician, it strengthens your groove, and if you're playing with any kind of apprehension, how can that help a groove? How can that help you when you're in a situation where, live, something happens in a song that you didn't even create, somebody can make a big mistake. And are you confident enough to get the band through that as a drummer, especially,
Right.
And yeah, so through the years of whether it was, studying privately as a kid or going to Berkeley Music College right out of high school, or teaching or playing live in the studio, all those things, for decades now, geez, I've been playing drums like 40 plus years, man. It's like, so outside of being in my own band that rose up to mega stardom, I have a nice chunk of experiences to be able to talk about and reflect
You
on.
certainly do. Yeah, you have an incredible resume, better than most. But I like that balance that you talk about with the lessons, where you let the student kind of say what they want to do, and also you're offering tips that will help them in the long run. I remember when I was a kid, when I first started playing, I was taking music theory in high school. I started jamming with my friends, and I started taking private lessons. And when I went to private lessons, he kind of wanted to teach me scales and all that stuff. And I was like, I want to learn red barchetta. I don't want to, I don't want to sit here and learn scales. I'm learning scales in theory. And he would accommodate that. And he would, I just kept going in with songs like that. And from the beginning, when I started playing, I learned theory and I learned songs, and I also learned how to jam with other people kind of all at the same time, which was a really good education. But somebody asked here, and they didn't put their name, but what ages will you work with? So would you work with a kid starting out, or a 65-year-old guy, or everything in between, or how's that work?
Oh yeah. What age has nothing to do with it, man. It's about getting getting the goal accomplished. If somebody wants to take a lesson, and it doesn't matter what level or what age at all. I've taught, I've taught every age. Yeah, I've had parents bring their kids over to my place, and a 10-year-old drummer who's got potential, and yeah, man, it's that stuff doesn't matter. It's more important about if somebody's there, making them feel good and making them feel like they're going to get better.
Right. Very cool. And you also offer like that you would do just drum tracks for anybody. So let's say if I wrote a song and I just put a scratch track, like guitar and bass, so I could send it to you and you put drum tracks to it, or how would that work?
Yeah, it's actually super easy. I've been doing it for many years now. I guess the most common way is people would send me stems being, from their session, they would just send me, whether it's their drum machine or on one track, the rhythm guitar, the vocal, the bass, you send me that through whatever compressed file means there is, like WeTransfer or Hightail or Dropbox. You send me your stuff, just give me the information. Either we talk on the phone or you send me a bunch of notes of what you want. If you want me to follow a pre-recorded, drum machine vibe and just kind of but I take whoever is hiring me and details of sound. Hey, I want a big open sound, or I want a tight whatever. There's just take all that and I do it all myself. So I'm the engineer. It's my studio, so I don't have to worry about booking people to get it done. And you send me the BPMs, if it's to a click track, and even these experiences recording like this. So it's that simple. I get the stuff and I put drums to it. I edit it, get it back to you. Most people want the dry drum tracks without me having to produce a certain sound, just get my dry drum tracks, and then they can mix how they want, they can do whatever they want to it. Some people may just simply add samples because they want a certain metal, contemporary metal drum sound, which involves samples and that kind of stuff. Other people will take my own mixed drums and use those, the compression or EQ and my, my blend or a little bit of verb or whatever it is, and they'll just take that and use it. So it's all up to whoever hires me to do this. What they want the final drums to sound like is really up to them. My goal is just to give them drum tracks that they're happy with. So that is the case most times. I've actually all times, there's really no problems, but yeah, it's fun because you could just send me your stuff, man. Send me a song. If there's nothing on it, there's a click track with just, I've done on every angle. If I had to, an old drummer's drum track, I've got to either replicate or try to sort of improve on or update or whatever, or just play to a click. Or somebody just sends me an MP3 of like a demo they had and they want drums on it. I'll just play along to the MP3, and then they take it from there. They get my drums and redo their whole song.
That's super cool.
So, but yeah, it's been. I'm sorry, I got to say, like, I mean, sometimes it's just it could be local musicians, so it's somebody that doesn't even have a record deal. Sometimes it's anybody from in my studio we've done stuff, and sometimes I'll do drums on my own here. Like, we'll talk about what we want to get done, and I'll just get it done and then send the guys over the finished drums. That's pretty much how it was done. George would come over to my studio here, and we go through song by song through the Wicked Sensation record, which is a whole other story, which is a fun story too. But sometimes he's like, oh, I don't have much time. We just work on 2 songs, and I go, okay, that's the groove, that's the tempo, that's the vibe we want. Cool, let's go on to the next one. I make some notes, and then he splits, and then I'll just sit here on my own and do the drums, and then bring him over to his house and we continue. But it's been anybody from Michael Schenker to Chris Caffery, who's in Sabotage and Trans-Siberian. I've done his past couple solo records. Just the whole mess of people. Cool. Just all kinds of stuff. And so, I'm always available while we're home. Yeah, it's something I could do right now.
This is Luke. He's one of the moderators in my in the Cover Band Central group, and he said his 12-year-old wants to play drums. He wants to take lessons online. So, Luke, I would highly recommend that you go check out Brian's stuff. And if you don't know Brian's drumming, you could just go on YouTube and Google and search him, or I'm sure there's a ton of videos of you playing with everybody out there. Because I've seen you with most of these artists that you've played with. I saw you with Slash in New York. Back when you guys were on Letterman that night, and I came into the city and I met up with you, and I got to meet Slash and shake his hand, which was kind of cool. And I got to see you with Zach back then, and then with Ozzy Osbourne in 2000, right?
Yeah.
You did the Ozfest?
Yep. Yeah.
And then later Billy Idol and Foreigner, and I mean, if you want anybody out there, you want somebody with experience who knows what they're doing, this is your man right here. And you said you also do kind of mixing and production for people too. So if I were to send you just tracks, you could produce it and mix it yourself, right?
Yeah, it's something that I never thought much about like, oh, I can mix, I can produce, I can engineer. It was all just a big part of getting stuff done yourself. It's even from getting a 4-track in high school and going, oh my God, multi-track recording. This is amazing. I throw 2 crappy mics I had up around my kit. I mean, back in the day when we were jamming in high school, the band I was in, that we did our first demo was on a crappy 4-track. Well, it wasn't crappy. Actually, it was totally cool. It was a Tascam something or other. But yeah, I'd get the drums down and bass player come over, record his bass, record the guitars and vocals, and we had our demo. And I was actually thinking about that recently. Like, I wonder how that stuff sounded, because I was engineering and mixing. It wasn't anything special, but it was like the goal is to make it sound believable. And so since then, that's what I've done. But I never really thought much about, oh, I'm an engineer. Like, if you brought me into some big ass recording studio, would I know how to turn everything on and set everything up? Maybe not. But if you had somebody there to help me out, yeah, would I know what I'm doing? Yeah. As far as miking up and recording drums or getting good sounds, I mean, I just did it with George over at his place, miking up amps and getting levels and getting sound and where the mic's placed and how do you, just that whole thing. I've always done that, whether it's my own stuff or put a Randy Rhoads Remembered record out a few years ago, and that whole thing was whatever, mixed and engineered and produced by me. But that's kind of normal to me. If you're in the studio with my new band Silverthorn, we do it all, myself and our singer Pete, he's the guitar player singer. We do it all our own. We made the whole thing on our own, just the two of us in my studio, engineering, recording, producing, mixing, so yeah, or the band Son I had with Sass, same thing. We made the record on our own. We, just talked, engineered, recorded, mixed, produced it, and there you go. So if you have a vision, I don't know, and you have, Pro Tools or something, like that to get it down, get the recordings down of a decent quality. To me, it's just fun to try and get sounds. I love good drum sounds, and I want to if I tune a kit a certain way and it sounds like a certain thing in a room, I want to get that across in a recording. So, and it's also probably from years and years of being in studios where you go into a studio, you get a drum sound, you go, cool. You walk into the control room and you go, my snare drum sounds nothing like that. Like, what's going on here? And the end result isn't anything close that you wanted it to be or you thought it could have been. So I've always took, all that extra time and just doing it myself, so yeah, if you're a band and, whatever, if you check out anything I've done or you think it sounds all right, that's, what does it take to be called a producer? I don't know. What's it take to be called an engineer? Like, if you know how to set up mics and get sounds and blend things, that's what you're doing. I don't, you know what I mean? You're not.
What was it I heard recently?
We all have to be music,
Yeah, I heard somebody recently, it might have actually been you and George talking about it, but about producers. Like, what does a producer actually do? They don't, they don't really. They're just like, okay, this sounds good or that doesn't.
Yeah, well, with this Wicked Sensation record, it wasn't like George had this big plan this year of doing all this stuff. He really wasn't thinking about it. It was more like, hey, Brian, are you around? I'm like, yeah, I'm available. Let's play. He's like, Oni's available. Oni Logan, Lynch Mob's, from the Wicked Sensation record. Okay, Oni's back in. I'm in. Michael Devin, who's the bass player in Whitesnake, did the first couple shows on the Monsters Rock cruise that we started off. That's where the tour technically started. But Michael had to go to Whitesnake, which of course he went and then got sent home like we all did. And then we got, Robbie Crane from Black Star Riders came in, and he and I were in Lynch Mob 10 years ago together and did some touring and all that stuff. So Robbie was available because he had a bunch of time off. And so when this was all being put together, I just said to George, man, do you realize it's the 30th anniversary of the record? He's kind of like, no, I wasn't really thinking about it. He's got a ton of projects going on. He's a busy guy, and it just slipped by, I guess. I was like, man, a lot of people are doing this, but I think it's a cool idea. Just play that record top to bottom in honor of it being 30 years later, with it's you and Oni. It's also was Anthony Esposito and Mick Brown, who are, are a great part of that record. That the record sounds awesome for what it was, and everybody involved in that's a great record. So why not tip the hat to it and do something you've never done before, on tour. And so he was like, yeah, that's cool. 30th anniversary. There you go. And I asked him, I said, do you have is the record yours? Do you own the masters? You know, maybe you can just re-release it with some bonus tracks, you know, something for the fans that's cool, you know. And he's like, no, it's like not mine, and somebody else, you know, another label owns it, whatever. And I was like, okay, what about just doing a re-recording, but not to sound like the original? That was never the goal. It was more like, what could we do now, 30 years later, that would be fun for us to do 30 years later? And we really had no idea other than that was the idea. We had no idea other than that was the idea.
Right.
And when George came over, the first song, he chose a song, and he goes, what's that Ringo beat? You know, and he was talking about, I think, Tomorrow Never Knows. And we kind of took that idea of a whole different beat and made that the central beat of the song. And he ended up overdubbing like two 12-string tracks to it and made it a whole different sound. And Robbie played a lot more melodic bass lines to it, and it really ended up being cool. And that was, but when we put the drums down, we didn't even know, or George didn't know what he would do with the guitars yet, and Robbie didn't know what he was going to do with the bass. So as far as producing, I guess it was George and I like kind of co-producing together, initially sitting there with a guitar and a drum set, getting grooves and ideas down. And the last song we worked on after we went through, there's 12 songs on the record. The last song we touched on was Wicked Sensation. And I go, okay, what do you do with this song? Like, what could we do that is going to make it stand out and not just a remake of the original with, you know, different guys playing the rhythm section? And one of us it became, why don't we just do the whole rhythm track with a wah-wah, just kind of like a Voodoo Child Hendrixy type thing. Wow, chicka wow, chicka wow, 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 wow. And he's like, oh yeah, I get it. That might be cool. And I'm like, what if we did it more funky, like a tighter Bonham sound, like just a little bit more of a funk approach instead of a heavy rock approach? Because they already did that. They did it brilliantly on the original version, you know? And we talked about that, and he left. I put the drums down and just played it a little more mellow, like a little more of on the funk side of like what I'd think like a Bonham, Michael DeRozier funk side, instead of like a power slamming hard rock drum track. You know, I did it more like you might hear something like, for anybody who knows Michael DeRozier, the original drummer from Heart, you know, stuff like Little Queen or Love Alive or Bonham, like Heartbreaker, A Whole Lot of Love. When you hear those isolated tracks, you know, it's like, what if I just approach it a little more like that? You know, not so power hard rock, you know, slash and burn drumming, you know, and production wise, tighten it up as well. So I did the drums and went over to George's and threw the wah up, and there you go. We had some pretty cool bass and drum vibes going on. And the cool thing is, for anybody out there interested in this record, you know, George is not relearning parts of, you know, like guitar solos and stuff. Everything's fresh and off the top of his head, and just like going for new vibes, fitting in with the new version. So when Robbie came up and we're like, okay, here's the track, here's the guitar and drums, and he just started playing like more funky lines, and he hit on something. I was like, yes, that's working, man. That is cool. And just made it a little more John Paul Jonesy or whatever, just a little more old school 70s, like, you know, that in that vein, a little more movement on the bass, you know, all the way around. And then Oni heard the stuff, and he sang in a couple songs already, and he just started completely singing in more of a funky, like a Sly Stone-ish way, almost, you know. And we just improv'd on the spot, and things started working and flowing, and Oni was having fun, and he changed up the whole chorus. Like, it's a different chorus, but it's not to compete with the original. It's not to improve it. It's just to acknowledge there was a really cool record there, and we wanted to have fun with it, just like we do live. You know, like live, we stick to the thick of the song, but I'm not playing every exact drum fill. There's key things I'll lock into, and there's key grooves I'll lock into, but George isn't playing every lick the same. Oni's not singing. You know, we're just doing our own live spin on it, and kind of like our favorite bands in the 70s would do. You wouldn't hear Zeppelin or Aerosmith or whatever do an exact version of the studio song, right? You know, studio version.
To me, it's
been a lot of fun.
Yeah, to me, it's more of a celebration of the music and a celebration of the record. And I really like that idea. And maybe that's something that other artists might start doing. Anyway, artists that have the original members around still. But somebody here just said, they didn't put their name, but 57-year-old pro drummer, Canadian, did shows with Sass co-headlining in the 90s. And so, yeah, you played with Sass Jordan in the early 90s. And one of the first cover bands that I played with where there was a regular schedule and it was just covers was with you in the early 90s. And I don't know if I want to say the name of the band. Um,
Yeah, we
Aluminum.
don't. Yeah, at this point, we don't even need to say it because some people would take it as an offensive name. I don't know why the guy who booked us was allowed to come up with the name, but he did, and money to play it. And he goes, "You guys are called this," and it's a senseless, as far as I'm concerned, 100% senseless name. And so, anyways, we'll leave it at that. But
Yes.
I've very rarely been in a situation like that where the band them's hired to play a club, but what didn't come up with their own name. You know what I mean? So I
Right.
think we could have done much better than that. But
Right.
none of us spoke up. We were told, and we're like, okay, you're paying us, and you're telling us what we're called, and you're booking us. We'll just do it.
Yeah. But it was an every Wednesday thing. And one of the things I really liked about that band is kind of different from now, how when I play covers, because now when I play covers, I'm in a tourist location. We try to play popular songs that are going to appeal to the masses. But in that band, we were just playing tunes Doug, and we were kind of ahead of the curve there with at least with cover bands because it was early '90s and we were playing Alice in Chains, but we weren't playing Man in a Box. We were playing Them Bones and we were playing Down That River. We were playing like deeper Van Halen cuts and Temple of the Dog. We played two of the songs from that, and
Yeah, that's right.
yeah, some Zeppelin tunes, and I still actually have some of that on audio tape recorded too. So, and that's something I've listened
Wow.
to fairly recently, and it's really good. But I mean, just what I want to say, Ben, was it. We didn't really care about packing the club. We didn't care about anything other than us playing and having a good time, and we still got paid. I don't think we got paid a lot of money. I don't remember what we made, but I think we got free
No,
beer.
it was closer to no money than a lot of money
Yeah,
or any money.
I think we
But
got free beer. But that was a lot of fun, and that's something that I highly recommend for people to do out there, especially now. Well, not now. Now you can't play with anybody, but I don't know. But what do you think? I mean, we don't know where this is going, where all this madness is going, and I'm kind of entertaining the idea, not entertaining, but just considering the idea that things might never ever go back to the way they were. Um, I would hate to see that happen, but
I won't go there
it's
with you. I won't go there with you. We got to get through this.
yeah,
It's like the world has gotten through a lot of stuff. Why
true.
wouldn't it get through this? Yeah, yeah. It'll, it's by saying it won't go back to where it was. It's like saying people are in a state of paranoia where they can't be in groups of people forever. And yeah, this is going to pass. It's just, it's quickly grown into taking over the world. And I mean, honestly, this is something I don't really get. You know, every day I go down the road and grab my tea at Starbucks, right? It's just like I like this certain kind of tea there because I stopped drinking coffee years ago. So a couple years ago, but okay, so people are like, "Oh yeah, I was on a hike," and people were respectful and they stayed 6 feet away and they just kind of waved their hands. And I'm like, "Okay, you're on a hike outside with the wind and the sun, but." Everybody's been told to stay that far apart, even outdoors, or you shouldn't be outdoors at all. And I'm like, okay, so I live in the canyons. I have a mountain bike. I like going out and with my animals, my family, and hiking. And okay, and I'm being told I really shouldn't be doing that. But when I go order my tea at Starbucks, like I was talking about, I go to the drive-through. There's like four guys, four of them working, four Starbucks employees, all like 6 inches away from each other, all handing each other drinks and making stuff. And I'm like, how does this make sense if we're all supposed to be completely isolated, so I don't get it.
Yeah.
I don't, but anyways, yeah, so am I at risk now because those four people touched my drink and somebody, like I don't know, man. I don't live with I don't live in fear. Like if something's going to happen to me that ends my life, it's pretty much that's it, right? Like if I leave today in my car and I get hit by a truck and it's over, I pretty much don't know how much I can do about anything like that happening. Or I'm in some plane wreck or whatever. It's just that's life. Things will happen unexpectedly. The worst or the best can happen at any moment. And we don't have total control over all that kind of stuff. And I don't really let this stuff affect me. I can't help, I can't do anything about not being able to go out on tour. I can't help, all the things that everybody's affected by, but as far as it bothering me, Like, we talked about earlier, I'm fine being alone. I wish I was making the money I thought I was going to make, like we all do. I wish, so that's something I just have to deal with right now, and sort of hope, but like we said, come up with alternative ways of using your time as best you can, and as a musician, or whatever your occupation is, But man, that's the one good thing about being a musician compared to if you have a job where you have to go into a place where you can't go and work. We can come up with alternate ideas and hopefully generate some income.
Yeah.
But the stuff I'm doing now, or that I hope to do more of, is stuff I do anyways, whether it's recording drum tracks or giving lessons or studio sessions, all that kind of stuff. I would do it anyways when I'm home. I'm always trying to work,
Right. Yeah, I'm with you, man. I hope we get through this soon and things do return back to normal, because I certainly love playing out live, and I know you do too. All right, man, we've been doing this for an hour. I'll let you fly, but you can hang for a second while I close the show. But I'm going to put the banner up here again. BrianTichy.com is his website. You can go check out and sign up for Skype lessons, or dig into the Breaking Down Bonham thing, which is highly affordable, and you'll learn a lot of stuff, not only about Zeppelin and Bonham, but just about drumming itself. And you offer doing tracks and mixing and all that stuff. And Brian's pretty accessible. You can find him on Facebook and Twitter, I guess, and Instagram too. So go check out all his stuff there. And if you have, we didn't get a whole lot of questions here. I think it's early for people, because I usually do these a little bit later. But if you have any other questions for Brian and you want to ask here, I'll forward those to him, or you could just check his stuff out online.
And you can do anything with lessons, or getting recording done, or breaking down Bonham. That's all on my website, briantichy.com. And there's just, if you want to do a Skype lesson, or hire me for recording, or any of that kind of stuff, it's all right there. So you can just click on it, puts you to an email. The email goes right to me, and I'll reply as soon as I get it. So it's very simple. And and on another note, while you're sitting around, I got to pump my new band Silverthorn, because I'm proud of it and I like it. This EP just came out a month ago. So if you want to hear some cool new heavy riffery in the world of rock and roll, check out Silverthorn.
Heavy riffery. I did hear one song. Good. So I would like to check out the whole record as well. All right, brother. Thanks. Cool. I'm going to end the broadcast, but you can hang on here for a second. But thank you, everybody in the Curb Central audience. You guys know I'm in here just about every day, so I'll talk to you soon. And as always, any questions or comments from me, you can easily find me online, Steve Witchell, Witschel, and we'll see you later. All right.